All right, gentlemen, today we are joined by Chad, who just happened to wander into our offices here in Phoenix, and he just returned from one of our tours in China. Actually, he was there for 2 months. Is that right? Yes. 2 months. And, I was talking with Chad, and his story is fascinating. I think it's really, really interesting. And I really wanted to see if he would be gracious enough to share it with you. And he consented to do that. So we're going to talk a little bit about his experience and his journeys. And I'm going to ask him a few questions here so you can get some more insight into what took place with Chad in China and the whole trip. What got you interested in going to China in the first place?
I figured I would go backpacking through China. Well, that thought kind of scared the living holy whatever out of my parents. And so I started looking around for a tour group that would allow me to kind of explore freely in China, but also still have the support structure needed to keep people back home from freaking out. And also translators. Oh my God. Translators are the thing that will save you no matter where you go. Lack of knowing the language is a very bad thing.
In China, yeah.
Yeah. And so I did some searching and I stumbled across you guys. I didn't go foreignaffair.com Google search. I was just looking for tour groups. I was like, all right, I'll check these guys out. I don't know what they're about. All I saw was AFA. And I did a search. At first, I was hesitant to go because I was like, dating abroad. I had my fears.
You can say you're a little bit worried. You were telling me. Now, let's be honest here. You're a little bit worried about the mail order bride syndrome, weren't you?
Yes, as we were talking in length about it. I grew up hearing all these horror stories about mail order brides, especially when I was in the military. So when I saw you guys at first, I thought you guys fell into that category, and I was like, please, no. And I looked around at other places, and the closest thing to what you guys offered was with another agency. They, for 2 weeks, and you were pretty much jam-packed with move, go here, do this event, hustle.
But not with women. Not with women. This was just sightseeing.
Just sightseeing.
Okay.
Solely sightseeing, no social interaction with women, just going and seeing the big landmarks of China, which I always thought was kind of silly because the culture of China is not buildings and stones, it's the people. Right. And that was like $5,000. I want to make this clear, guys. A 10-day trip with AFA costs you, after taxes and rounding it up, I think it's like $2,400.
Yeah, right around there.
So $2,400, I get to go do my own little thing, or pay $5,000 and follow someone else's schedule. I really didn't like that idea.
And not meet any women at all, and not meet all those different people. Yeah.
Yeah. Not meet any women. I took another look at you guys, and I did some research. I even went as far as to go to the Better Business Bureau.
Good.
All right.
I love the Better Business Bureau.
I'm a fan of research. So I researched it, and AFA is actually a really good company when you're just considering tours. And then you throw into the whole entire introduction aspect of it. You guys are like rock stars.
Yeah, because when you look at that and you look at the Better Business Bureau, I mean, one of they told me that one of the highest complaints they get industry-wise is either automotive repair or dating services, and we've been around for 22 years and we have an excellent record. And you did the research as far as that goes, but you also did a lot of other research too. I mean, you've called and talked with all the different staff members. Tell them a little bit about the research you did.
So I pretty much know about 90% of all the staff here at AFA by first name. I was watching the shows. I I even tuned into the conference calls on Thursdays with Renee.
Were those helpful for you?
I actually found that to be like the best part of you guys.
Really?
Yeah. So Renee kind of pulled down the whole entire idea of, hey, you're going to another country and these women are going to be like slobbering all over you. Okay, first off, guys, that does not happen, and nor should you ever want that.
Yeah.
But she was like, if you're looking for a real person to actually spend your life with, seriously, this is how you do it. And she goes through it completely.
And the Greg show and the other,
Well,
Bud shows.
Yeah, Greg's the reason why I'm actually in Phoenix today. Great guy. Great help if you have any questions about, the real world aspects of finding a wife and bringing her home. He's going through all that stuff. No, he's not paying me.
Okay.
They're not paying me. I actually picked up the bill for lunch today.
We get that a lot. Oh, all these testimonies are paid. I've never paid anyone in 22 years to give us a testimonial. I don't have to. I mean, our service speaks for itself. So you were just in China for 2 months, okay? But you really went more just to experience China and not even with the idea of meeting women so much in mind, yet that was like a byproduct for you of the tour. But did you see the possibilities while you were there?
If you want to find love that is something that you're willing to go the end of the earth for, to do whatever they ask you, then why not travel halfway around the world for the possibility of love? People in America do crazy, crazy things to try to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend in America. Yet we're not willing to take a vacation to exotic land, go goof off, have fun with a bunch of great guys, and maybe find the love of your life.
If you think about it, what you did, you were going to go anyway, whether or not this tour included the option to meet the different women with the socials and the one-on-one introductions that Careful and the staff do for you while you're in China. You were willing to pay the price that we charge because you found that to be less expensive than anybody else you could find that just did regular tours. And guys, that's what I've been trying to say for many, many years. And we even have the printout here, which I think you're seeing right now on your screen, that shows when you compare our tours to like Expedia and these other ones that don't offer all the other services, the logistics and the opportunity to meet all the women and all that, and you compare the prices, our tours are still less expensive. And so, when I talk about going on one of our group tours, I've always said that worst case scenario is you're going to have a great vacation. You're going to have a blast, right? And then, yeah.
Oh yeah, a group of us guys, we would go figure out something to do for the day, and we'd create a little mischief along the way.
Yeah, because if you're not dating, what's nice about these tours is if you're not out on a date, which a lot of the guys are, but if you're not, then you would go out with some of the other guys and you would do something, and then they'd go off on their dates and things like that. So there's a support group the whole time you're there, and it's a blast. And you're probably still in touch with some of the guys from that tour, I imagine. And talk a little bit about the staff in China too, because I think our staff just nowhere near gets enough, credit for the things that they do. I know we have a social, as you and I are sitting here right now. At this moment, we have a social going on in Kiev, Ukraine. And I just actually Skyped in there and I actually saw it, and it was amazing. There's there's well over 200, probably 250 or so women there. And I don't know, whatever, 30 some guys, even maybe a little more. But they all are meeting, they're all talking, a lot of energy, great stuff. But that doesn't just happen out of thin air. It's not like we just open the doors and let anybody in off the streets. It's not like that at all. The staff does a lot of work to make these events happen and make them nice. They register all the women coming in. They're screening those women when they get there. They're making sure that who's there is supposed to be there, both men and women. And so they do a great job of that. And that takes a long time to put all that together. You don't just walk into these things. It's not like a nightclub where just everybody happens to magically appear. That's not what a foreign affair tour is all about. And so, the staff that you got to meet, Amy and Careful and all of those, just talk a little bit about what they do for the guys while they're there.
I met all of them at the office. And, that's Amy, Yo-Yo, Christina, Careful. And they were nonstop on the phone, on the computer, emailing all these women to make sure they got as many women to the social as they could, and not just numbers, but decent women, not that crazy lady with 1,000 cats.
Because, that's a really important point that you bring up, Chad, because, the staff there, they know the women. Careful, Amy, all those women, they know these women. And so when they're inviting the women, they know who they're inviting. They know who's coming as far as the guys. And they're trying to make sure that it's matching, the demographics of the group. And, that they're not inviting someone that there may be a problem with. And just like we do sometimes with the men, there's men that we haven't let on the tours because of issues. So this notion that, foreign affair, they'll just let anybody in. And that, no, it's not how it works. Never has been how it works. And if you take the time to really look at the work that goes into this, like Chad did, because he was there watching it, it is quite a bit different. So, and to me, that's important because I don't think that, number one, our offices get enough credit for all the hard work they put into these things. And number two, I don't think the women that attend these socials get enough credit because it's not easy for them either. There's many more women than there are men at these events. And, the women kind of put themselves out there a little bit to come to these events in the hopes of finding someone special. And that's not an easy thing to do. And sometimes, you'll see guys writing things on the internet about, these women just are this or just that. And it's just so insensitive and so wrong for people to do that, and these are almost always people who have never been there and never experienced it. I mean,
Yeah. I saw the list. I counted the names. The first social had 72 people, 72 women, and there was 12 of us guys. And in the second one, there was 88. Yes, more women on the second social on a Saturday night than on the first one Friday.
Yeah, and and there was 12 of you, so that's getting right about a 8-to-1 ratio or something like that, which which is amazing. That's what we say. It's usually we'd be about 8-to-1 ratio. That's why I'm saying in the Ukraine, there's 250 women there because there's about 30 plus guys there. So we always adjust for that, but you're usually going to have at least a 7-to-1, if not higher ratio of women to men. And because look, guys, it's not because we just want to flood you with all these different women. It's because it is a numbers game. I know it's a numbers game. I met my wife because of the numbers game. We're celebrating our 18th year anniversary in a few, oh my God, like 2 weeks. I got to get a present. But it's coming up very soon. And we met 20 years ago this July. And the only reason, and I tell you, the only reason we met was because of that social in St. Petersburg. And it was a numbers game. There was about 130 women or so there. And we had about, 12, 15 guys, something at that time. And she was there at a table with 5 other wonderful, beautiful women who, by the way, all met and married their husbands via a foreign affair as well. Because she still keeps in touch with them. So, to me, it is about putting yourself out there, putting yourself in a situation to be successful. And that's what we do. Now, whether or not you are ultimately successful is going to be entirely up to you. You're going to have the ability to do with or not do with the resources that are put in front of you. And there's only so much that anybody can do when it comes to that. But what I will tell you is for 22 years, we have been putting those resources in your hands and giving you the opportunity to be successful and putting yourself out there, because it's not going to happen by writing letters. It's not going to happen by doing chat, right? It's just not. I mean, we know that. And we know that a large percentage of you guys are never going to get on that plane and go over. And that's sad because Chad, he went over. He had a blast. He's still alive, right? You survived all this stuff. And you stayed for 2 months. Why did you stay so long? What was the deal?
Well, so like I said in the beginning, I didn't pick AFA because I wanted to meet the girl of my dreams. I went there and I picked AFA because I wanted to explore China. And Shenzhen is a massive city. I think it's like 3 times the size of San Francisco. And when you look at how long it's been there, it's only been there for 30 years, which is crazy. Try to find a city that size anywhere else in the world, and you're probably not going to find it.
It was a fishing village 30 years ago.
Yeah, 30 years ago it was a fishing village, nothing more. And I spent all that time trying to just explore all of it and understand the culture better.
Okay, so let me ask you: would you ever go on another? Even though maybe you said that you're not really quite ready yet, probably to get married, to settle down, but you really want to go and experience this. And guys, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, this isn't a sex tour, so if that's what you're looking for, then yeah, you probably would be disappointed because that's not what this is about. But if you're going over to meet some wonderful people, make some great friendships, and have a wonderful vacation. A foreign affair is a great place to go, and you never know what may happen because you're going to meet some wonderful women, and those are the guys that usually do end up getting married. So you don't have to sign a contract saying yes, I am going to get married if I go on this tour, but it just puts you in that, it opens your eyes to the opportunity that's out there, if nothing else, when you go on one of these things. I had a gentleman, and I've told this story before, that came in the office who asked me when we were going to add a new destination. And it turns out that he'd been to every one of our destinations. And I said, my God, are you that picky? And he said, well, yeah, I do want to ultimately get married, and I'm looking for someone. But I think that this is an amazing travel value, because when I compare it like you did to other like Expedias and other companies that just do travel, it's almost twice the price to go with them than it is to go with you guys. And yet you get so much more with you guys. I get to meet the women. They take me to local places. I get to meet your staff. They're very much more helpful than they would have been on the more expensive tours. They're with me all the time. And it's just such a fun time. So why wouldn't I go if I'm going to travel, and I love to travel? Why would I take advantage of it? Yes, sooner or later I do want to get married, but this is just a great opportunity. And that's what you were looking for.
Yeah. The equivalent city tour that TripAdvisor was offering was for $278 for 4 hours, guys. 4 hours, $278.
Absolutely.
Go on to TripAdvisor, take a look at it. And I did that. I went to 2 socials. I had a hotel room for 10 days. Actually, I think it was 11 or 12 because I got there early.
Bit, yeah.
Yeah. And I paid $2,400. I dare you. I'm not even joking. I dare you to go on the internet right now, try to find a deal like that anywhere for Shenzhen. You'll not find it.
There's no, and I've been telling that to guys for 20 some years, is that we are the best value when it comes to singles travel or just regular travel out there. I mean, you weren't forced to share your room with anyone, right? You had your own room. All these other ones you have to share your room with. You have to have double occupancy, all that. Even if you decide to go by yourself, they'll pair you with someone and put someone in your room. So that's not what we do. You don't have to share your room unless you want to. It's up to you. So sometimes that happens, but. So guys, I know we got to wrap this up. It's getting kind of long, but I want to ask Chad one final question here, and that's, Chad, what would you say to someone who's sitting out there watching this video right now and wondering, oh my gosh, should I do it? What could happen? And worried. And I understand people are a little hesitant. They don't want to, get taken advantage of. They aren't sure that we're going to do everything we say we're going to do, even though we've been doing it for 22 years. But they're still a little worried. What would you tell them?
Ultimately, if you don't do that, you won't experience anything new, and you'll not have hope of having any fun, love, whatever you're actually going to be going on these tours for, because you're just going to be shy. And I'd say that's far worse than any other opportunity that might be presented to you.
And you're out doing something. You're not sitting at home on your computer writing to somebody you may never meet. You got to put yourself in situations to be successful and to let things happen to you and not just stifle all your opportunities. And I say this quote at the beginning of all of our seminars, and it's from Mark Twain, and I think it is really, really relevant to what we do here. And it's basically 20 years from now, you're going to regret the things that you didn't do much more than the things that you did do, right? And that is so true. 20 years from now, you're not going to be sitting around saying, oh my God, did I dodge a bullet? I'm so glad I didn't spend that $2,400 and go to China. I'm so glad I didn't do that. You're not going to be sitting on the couch 20 years from now thinking that. You might be thinking 20 years from now, I wonder what life would have been like if I would have taken that trip with a foreign affair, if I would have gone over and experienced China or the Philippines or Ukraine or Costa Rica or Colombia or Dominican Republic or Thailand or any of those locations that we go to. And you're going to be thinking that possibly, because I've had guys, now that we've been doing this for 22 years, come to me 20 years after they found out about us telling me they wish they would have done it 20 years ago. But you're not going to be doing the opposite, saying, oh my God, thank God I saved that $2,400 20 years ago.
Is amazing. I don't think you can find that with anybody else.
Well, I really appreciate this, Chad. I really appreciate you coming in. And as this little sign says here, guys, love is meant to be an adventure, right? I saw this and I just had to get it because that really sums up what we've been doing for 22 years. Love is meant to be an adventure, right? But you got to go out and make that adventure happen. You really do. And so, I'm so glad that Chad stepped in today and shared this time with us and his experience with us. I wish so many more guys would come in here. I know we're in Phoenix and not everybody, hangs out in Phoenix, but if you guys are ever around Phoenix, please come in like Chad did and talk to us, because I was just telling Chad, I never get to talk to the guys much when they come back from the tours. They're all happy they're doing their thing. I mean, I just got an email from someone who just returned a couple days ago from Cebu, from the tour we just did there, and he's telling me how much better the women are in person than they are online. They just looked more beautiful and all this, and I'll agree with that. Actually, in the Philippines, I think the women do look better in person than what we do. We do a terrible job in the photography of that. So guys, I really appreciate it, Chad. Thank you so much for coming in today and talking and sharing your experiences. And I'm sure this isn't the last we've seen of him. And so maybe when he comes back from the Philippines, he can come back and you can compare and contrast China with the Philippines and let us know what you think. Okay.
Most definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.